podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Hello and welcome to Startuprad.io. My name is Chris, joining you from New York City.
And this is Joe. If you're listening to this or watching this, you can tell it's spring because I am first shaved and secondly, the hay fever already got me. So good to be back.
Okay. You shave once per year, apparently.
No, I'm wearing a beard in the cold season, Chris.
This is our March 2026 startup news. Newscut is today, March 23rd, that is. We have a fully packed episode. We are talking about €1 billion robotics round backed by a stablecoin treasury. We are going to be talking about Bavaria overtaking Berlin in startup funding for the very first time. We are talking about a Frankfurt IPO that could become Europe's largest fintech listing. Amazon is buying a Swiss robotics company, and €500 million are coming from the Bundestag, the German parliament, for combat drones. Quite a month.
Yeah, quite a month indeed. Let's get into it.
Let's talk startups. So before we walk through our individual stories, let me give you a quick overview about the month. March 2026 was and is defined by industrial conviction, you could say. Capital is flowing into companies that are building physical things. So we're talking robots, reactors, drones, batteries, and into the financial infrastructure that underwrites all of this. Speculative AI narrative cycle has not disappeared though. But the checks being written in the DACH region, so Deutschland, Österreich, Schweiz, German, Austria, and Switzerland, right now are going to companies with order books, procurement contracts, industrial customers, so people who have, and companies who have already made their case. That's quite a meaningful shift, I think.
Yeah, the headline number is definitely Neura Robotics raising roughly €1 billion at the 4 billion, yes, with a B, valuation backed by Tether. That is the largest single DACH startup round this cycle, and it's not alone. Amazon acquired River, spelled R-E-V-R, out of Zurich, an ETH spinout that built stair-climbing delivery robots. 2 major robotics transactions in a single month. The DACH robotics cluster is no longer theoretical, it's attracting €1 billion capital and big tech acquisitions simultaneously.
And we also see that defense continues to become a more and more normal venture category. German Bundestag approved €540 million for combat drones from Helsing and Stark Defense. Bavaria, the German state of Bavaria, committed €400 million toward Proxima Fusion's Stellarator reactor. Titan Technologies, with a Y instead of an I, raised 30 million from the NATO Innovation Fund. And this is all procurement money, not promised money. So it's structural also, reflecting geopolitical realities starting with the Ukraine war post-2022. And EU policy priorities coming from that war that are now being translated into actual budgets.
The geography story is fascinating and I think a little bit underreported also. Bavaria has overtaken Berlin as Germany's top startup funding destination for the first time. The Bayern Startup and Scale-up Monitor shows Munich attracted €2.7 billion in venture capital in 2025 versus €2.4 billion for Berlin. Defense tech was a major driver in Munich. Over €1 billion flowed into the sector, much of it in Munich. That is not a one-quarter anomaly. It reflects structural change, industrial proximity, the TUM2 network, and a growing cluster of robotics and aerospace companies. Note Bavaria and Berlin are comparable here because they are both states in Germany, admittedly very different sizes.
And we found 2 signals in fintech too. Bitpanda is targeting a Frankfurt IPO at the stock exchange there at €4 to €5 billion with Goldman and Citi as their main advisors. Upvest raised 125 million at a 640 million euro valuation backed by Tencent and BlackRock. And Delivery Hero is also a topic facing activist pressure from Aspects and Personio and pivoting their pricing model more towards profitability. So also here we see that there's something like an late stage accountability cycle, you could say. Companies are being held to public market standards here, whether they are publicly traded already or not yet.
We should add that for this episode, we reviewed thousands of raw links, news in our newsletter scans. Actually, we get around 50 daily newsletters on the DACH, German, Austrian, Swiss ecosystem, and we filter aggressively. Those are the 10 signals that matter the most.
Let's go. Let's walk through them. Number one, I will start. Signal number one. This is the headline of the month, I think. Neura Robotics, based in Metzingen, my old hometown region near Stuttgart. Metzingen also famous for being the headquarter of Hugo Boss.
And outlet shopping.
And outlet shopping, yes. If you're so inclined to shop for Hugo Boss. So Neura Robotics, based in Metzingen, is raising roughly 1 billion euros backed by stablecoin issuer Tether. And that means that the company is valued at 4 billion euros. Tell me more about this.
Yes, Neura builds AI-powered humanoid robots for industrial and household applications. CEO David Reger has an order book approaching $1 billion already. Kawasaki, Omron are amongst the customers. The previous round was just, in a parenthesis here, 120 million euros in January 2025, sorry. So we are talking about roughly an eightfold step up in a little over a year. Barclays estimates the AI robotics market will reach 1 trillion, yes, with a T, dollars by 2035. This is Germany's largest robotic deal and positions the country alongside Figure AI and Uptronic in the global humanoid robotics race.
Yeah, and here we also really see how the German market shifts a bit, because if you had imagined like €1 billion round for a German robotics company backed by a stable coin treasury, that would have all been very like, yeah, it would have been quite like science fiction a couple of years ago. And now, yeah, even the German market is investing in this, or it's part of the German market and part of the deal flow there. Signal number 2, Proxima Fusion, moving on from Baden-Württemberg to its eastern neighbor state, Bavaria. Garching, not far away from Munich. And Bavaria is an interesting point here, because Bavaria is also, like, as a free state, is also committing up to 400 million euros toward a demonstration stellarator reactor. So yeah, this is the, dare we say, fantasy of having safe and small nuclear reactors. What is going on with this pledge here, which is what I think one of the largest government pledges to a fusion startup in the world, maybe, I guess.
Yeah, correct. It's about fusion energy, a memorandum of understanding signed by the state of Bavaria, RWE, one of the large energy giants here in Germany, and the Max Planck Institute for Plasma Physics set out a roadmap for a 2 billion euro alpha demonstrator. After that comes Stellaris, a commercial fusion plant planned for Gundremmingen, the site of a former nuclear fission facility now being decommissioned by RWE. Proxima is a Max Planck IPP. Max Planck are basic research institutes, and the IPP is the Institute for Plasma Physics, spin-off founded in 2023. They raised already 130 million in a Series A last year. We reported about that. And the state is backing the utility involvement, the defined site. This moves fusion from academic aspiration to industrial planning category.
Yeah. And we also see here again, like 400 million euros. This is like coming from the government. It's quite a commitment. And we also here see that, and there are a lot of things shifting in energy policies, I think, these days. Also, again, as a result of the war between Ukraine and Russia, or between Russia and Ukraine, one should say, probably because Russia attacked, and also because of the ongoing environmental discussions. Signal number 3.
Mm-hmm. I would like to add that Germany really needs cheap energy, so this is essential, even though I assume fusion energy will not come around in the next few years. Signal number 3, Bitpanda, Frankfurt IPO at 4 to 5 billion euros. Bitpanda, Vienna and Frankfurt, the crypto and investment platform, we talked about them quite frequently, is advancing plans for Frankfurt IPO at a valuation of 4 to 5 billion euros. Goldman Sachs, Citi and Deutsche Bank are advising. The platform is backed by Peter Thiel, serves more than 7 million users, and has rebranded its B2B arm to Bitpanda Enterprises. Deutsche Börse and Société Générale are amongst the institutional clients, and our former defense minister, Karl Theodor zu Guttenberg, has joined the board. Little disclaimer here, a valuation of 4 to 5 billion doesn't mean all the shares will be floated initially or at one point on the stock exchange. It just means if you add up all the shares at the share price, that'll be the total valuation. And of course, a lot of those shares will stay in institutional hands. Sorry. Here you go, Chris.
Yeah, and it's a fact that, like, if completed, this would rank among Europe's largest fintech listings. Also meaning that whether they choose Frankfurt over London or the choice of Frankfurt over London is a signal. And if you look at companies like Goldman, Citi and Deutsche Bank in the background, you can also see that the cap table and the listing value tell you that Frankfurt is making up some ground here and seeming to win the fight for European fintech gravity. Number 4, back to me. The Bundestag's Budget Committee, der Haushaltsausschuss, has approved 540 million euros for combat drones, which should be bought from German startups named Helsing and Stark Defense. It is going to be one of the largest defense tech procurement commitments to domestic startups in German history. And it's a decision that follows operational losses from the Ukraine conflict. So this is a startup news that shows where the startup ecosystem as a whole is going, but also how much it's now more and more intertwined with politics.
Yes, and there's a political dimension here, definitely. Peter Thiel's involvement at Stark Defense has prompted a debate, with the Greens demanding protective measures against foreign influence in defense procurement. I've also been writing a LinkedIn post about it that went really crazy. The budget approval itself is the signal here. This is procurement, not promise. 500 million euros of Bundestag-approved budget flowing to venture-backed startups. Defense tech is no longer knocking on the door. It's setting the procurement agenda. Signal number 5, Upvest, $125 million in Series D. Upvest, Berlin, $125 million in Series D at 660 million euro valuation, nearly doubling its previous mark. Sapphire Ventures, Tencent, Bessemer, and BlackRock are amongst the investors. The company processes more than 100 million orders in 2025 through its API-first investment infrastructure. They are expanding into pension products, UK SIPPs, and German's Altersvorsorgedepots.
Yes. So, also here we see 100 million orders processed. We see that Tencent and BlackRock are writing checks for them. And so we can really see that European retail investment is happening in Berlin. Pension expansion here is strategic, I would say. It's also strategically astute. It's regulated, recurring, aligned with demographic trends. And yeah, so that's signal 5. Signal 6 is also me. We're moving on to Switzerland. Amazon has acquired the Zurich-based robotic startup River, without the E in the end, so RIVR, at a reported valuation of approximately $100 million. This is a spin-out of the university in Zurich, the ETH, the Technical University, founded in 2023 under the name Swiss Mile before rebranding in last year in 2025. Founder's name is Marko Bielonic, who previously worked at Boston Dynamics. The robots can climb stairs, can carry 30 kilograms of weight, can travel 15 kilometers per hour. So overall, they are much more productive than you and me.
Totally. I was just looking up here. 50 kilometers per hour or something like a little bit above 9 miles an hour. This is the second major DACH robotics transaction this month alongside Neura. Amazon came to Zurich for robots that climb stairs. The DACH robotics cluster is no longer theoretical for Swiss deep tech founders. This validates the ETH spin-out pathway and demonstrates that these companies are acquisition targets for the world's largest technology platforms.
Signal number 7. This is a signal our audience rightfully is expecting from us, because we're always rooting against Berlin, obviously. And Joe, you flagged this one specifically.
Oh, it's not necessarily that we're rooting against Berlin, but there are so many very, very good companies out there. For example, Metzingen, that didn't get enough international attention, so it all got into Berlin, and that's the point we like. We're not rooting against any place here, but we want the world to see more and more interesting places. So, for the first time, Bavaria has overtaken Berlin as Germany's leading startup funding destination. The Bayern Startup und Scale-Up Monitor 2026 shows Munich attracted 2.7 billion euros in venture capital in 2025 compared to 2.4 billion for Berlin. The Freistaat recorded 785 new startup formations, a 46% increase year over year, now accounting for more than a fifth of all German new ventures. Defense technology was standout driver with over 1 billion euro flowing into the sector, much of it concentrated in Munich.
So once again, Munich, 2.7 billion, Berlin, 2.4 billion, plus the surrounding states. But we see for the first time the Freistaat in the lead. It's not an anomaly just based on one quarter. It's really a reflection of a years-long, decades-long trend, probably, because we see that Bavaria is in the lead because they have proximity to big industrial clusters in Bavaria. They have the network of the Technical University in Munich, the TUM. They have the growing defense and robotics clusters. And yeah, we really see here that geography is no longer destiny in the German startup ecosystem, but it's more important if you are that you are aligned with certain sectors. And right now we see that Munich sectors are the ones that attract more capital right now.
Number 8, Google has opened a new AI center in Berlin, housing DeepMind research and cloud teams under one roof at Museumsinsel. This is part of a 5.5 billion euro investment program in Germany through 2029. Research partnerships with TU Munich and Helmholtz Munich are targeting medical and single-cell AI applications. A new data center in Dietzenbach near Frankfurt is also planned.
DeepMind in Berlin, 5.5 billion euros through 2029. So yeah, we also see here that like talent gravity might be created, defining what will already be probably like the next generation of German AI startups. the co-location of the DeepMind researchers with cloud and applied teams also signals that Berlin's AI ecosystem is probably maturing a bit more away from pure research toward more commercial deployment. So we will see if now there's a phase beginning in which more spin-outs, talent mobility, and partnerships with enterprises generate more venture relevant deal flow, I guess. Number 9, Delivery Hero. I already hinted at it in the beginning. It's Berlin's largest listed tech company, but it is facing escalating pressure from activist investor Aspects Management. It's an investor that holds a 9.2% stake, so it's not nothing. And it's an investor that is pushing for asset disposals. The market capitalization of Delivery Hero has fallen more than 80% from the peak in 2021, which I guess was a bit pandemic induced. They completed a $1.4 billion debt refinancing and are reportedly exploring a sale of their Latin American operations, which are generating quite significant 1.2 billion euros in revenue. But Aspects warned it may pursue leadership changes if the strategic review does not deliver. Get it? Delivery Hero. So, what do you think about this?
Well, that's a clear case study in the ecosystem of what happens when growth area capital structures meet the post-hype accountability. This is the activist playbook, asset sales, operational focus, leadership pressure. It's imported from US public markets and is now being applied to Berlin's largest listed tech company. The post-growth reckoning has arrived. Let's talk Signal 10, a little bit related here. Gropius, 100 million raised, 400 million total equity. Number 10, Gropius, founded by Markus Fuhrmann, who previously built Lieferheld. 100 million euros raised, bringing a total equity to 400 million. The company builds digitized factory-produced apartment buildings, 800 units across 7 projects currently in execution. Semapa next added 35 million, becoming the second largest investor after Vonovia. Profitability targeted in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. So also, to recap, 400 million euros of equity, 800 apartments in production. We also see here that construction tech is maturing and probably finally building. Vonovia's involvement provides distribution, provides credibility here in a sector where incumbents have historically resisted disruption. So we also see a shift here. That's it for the 10 main signals. But we got a couple of what we call additional, a couple of quick hits, additional signals to round out the month. Joe, take us through them.
Titan Technologies in Munich with Y raised 30 million euros from the NATO Innovation Fund for counter-drone systems. Universal in Kiel raised 30 million for battery production using a proprietary tri-coating process. Combo in Berlin raised 25 million from Valuation Capital for HR Tech API integrations. Recare raised 37 million for AI-powered clinical operations agents. Personio, the music HR unicorn, is introducing a new pricing model in its push toward profitability after 11 years.
And Personio is not a music HR tech unicorn, sondern a Munich tech HR tech unicorn.
I'm so sorry. Yes, Munich. I am sorry.
But we praise Bavaria so highly, so it's the place where the music plays, I guess. So on the founder side, Julian Teike from WeFox and Jürgen Müller, the former SAP CTO, have joined forces on Agent F, which is an AI native enterprise resource planning startup, one of the most closely watched founding teams in German tech right now, I guess. And then the European Commission is advancing EU Inc., a pan-European corporate legal form that would let founders incorporate once and operate across all member states. That sounds like much needed step against bureaucracy. Garage Ventures with a GH in the beginning launched a 40 million euro travel tech fund anchored by Gebrüder Heinemann. And KfW Capital deployed 748 million euros to startup backing VC funds in 2025. Since 2018, then this German bank has committed 2.9 billion euros across 153 funds, indirectly financing approximately 2,900 startups. That's it for March 2021. So we talked robotics, we talked defense, we talked fintech insurance, and we talked Bavaria a lot.
Chris, now I got you. It's fintech infrastructure, not fintech insurance. Like the music Munich. Oh.
Fintech insurance. Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, the structural signals are clear. Our hosting probably is not, but do you have any final thoughts?
We will work on the scripts, guys. Really sorry. It's almost 10 p.m. here, so we're both tired. But for the startups, built where industrial procurement, regulatory mandate, and geopolitical urgency create durable demand. For investors, the signals are structural, not thematic, and the winners are already visible. Robotics, defense, energy, fintech infrastructure. Those are board-level conversations of 2026.
If you want more, subscribe to us on Substack for deep dives. Find us on LinkedIn, X, TikTok, YouTube. All the links are at linktree/startupradio, and Linktree is linktr.ee/startupradio. As always, we are looking at hundreds, thousands of raw news links. These were the ones that matter. Thanks for listening. See you next month.
See you next month.
Let's talk startups. Tschüss.
Tschüss.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.